Hi everyone. We are here to understand how reading NCERT books can be made most effective in terms of outcome. Of course, it will cover not only about NCERT books, it may cover reading any book for that matter. So how to read NCERT book effectively? I take you through the very first slide. Any information of a book. For example, I have given you a screenshot of an NCERT book. The very first task of yours should be read the sentence and map if it's an information or a descriptive opinion. We'll try to understand what exactly the sentence suggests through the example of the screenshot. But for better understanding, in any general talk, जब भी हम बात करते हैं, इस बात में या तो कोई अपनी ओपिनियन दे रहा होता है या फिर वो इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहा होता है. चाहे वो इंफॉर्मेशन दे रहा है या फिर वो ओपिनियन दे रहा है. ओपिनियन दे रहा होगा तो फर्दर वो किसी रीजन को फॉलो करेगा, मतलब अपने ओपिनियन के सपोर्ट करने के लिए वो फर्दर आर्गुमेंट देगा. और अगर इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर कर रहा है तो उस इंफॉर्मेशन को सपोर्ट करने के लिए शायद सर्टेन डेटा देगा. दैट कैन बी अ केस. सो फॉर अस, with absolute objective of CUET, getting good score in CUET and fetching decent marks with either self-learn or under any training, reading the text is one thing which a student has to do. Now, notice the very first statement. Manufacturing involves a full array of production. From this much a statement, can a question be derived? No, because it's a generic kind of information that manufacturing involves a full array of production from handicrafts to molding iron and steel and stamping out plastic toys to assembling delicate computer components or space vehicles. The statement is introductory in its nature and it talks about that manufacturing is not one thing, it's the name of a process of anything which has a produce. So there cannot be any question out of here because it's a generic statement without specific information. But going ahead, in each of these processes, the common characteristics are the application of power, mass production of identical products, and a specialized labor in factory setting for the production of standardized commodities. Now, here comes the question for CUET. A paper setter may find a question over here. कि manufacturing process includes which one among the following? The first thing which includes is, or the first characteristics is, the application of power. Second, mass production. Third, factory setting. And fourth, standard commodities. They may write something or they give you an option which may not be the part of manufacturing process. They will write manpower. Certain processes can be automated and manpower does not require there. But in any way, manufacturing has to dependent on these four factors which we just talked. Now, if I'm a student and I read this paragraph, so what next I'll do? Take notes as you read. जब मैंने ये इंफॉर्मेशन पढ़ा कि प्रोडक्शन प्रोसेस में ये चार चीज़ें शामिल होती हैं, टेक a A4 sheet of paper, fold it in half and write in the smallest size that feels comfortable and you can easily read, understand in the last minute. Take a paper, fold it, and use the right side of the paper to note down the information, whereas the left side should be kept blank, that any related information from the same topic read somewhere else would be included in that. That's how it works. Moving ahead, don't just write the heading in these notes. Write the points too. For example, I show you, if I had been there or I am there to make notes of it, so I'll write manufacturing involves 4 processes. Number 1, production of identical products, application of power, production of standardized commodities, and factory setup. So I'll make 4 factors written there so that whenever next time I'm reading the notes, I can think of the question may appear from the same text. That's how many a times you ask how to read NCERT books, how to read theory books. That's how you are supposed to ask, because you are not reading, when it comes to NCERT, you are not reading any fiction, you are not reading any opinion book, you are not reading any hypothesis or a PhD thesis of a person. Because it's a textbook, it has more information, lesser opinion. Here, the information becomes the notes of yours, and that's how I have written over here, ki don't just write the headings in these notes, write the points too. You don't have to write full sentence. That's what I'm talking about. You have to write the keywords involved in the statement. The rest of the things can be found out separately, and when the exam of CUET is objective, there is no point writing the entire sentence as well. So your goal is to put in as much information onto a sheet as possible, because say if we can develop a book again, book written into copy, that makes hardly any sense for us. What we have to do is, from 1 page of a book, the quarter or 1/4 or 1/10 of the page is accumulated into that. That's what we have to do. Similarly, always research into the things you don't understand. Suppose we cannot understand what's called factory setting or what's called application of power. Application of power as a word we know, but what exactly that means? That simply means application of power is a resource of power. It can be electricity, it can be battery, it can be products of petroleum or anything like that, which can provide energy for machines to run for. So that application of power has a meaning of this one, and it can be a question as well. What I mean to say is कि जब भी आप किताब पढ़ रहे हैं, every phrase used in the text is a meaning for you. Now, going ahead, take new notes every time you read. At least, NCERT की किताबों को एग्जाम के पहले, which are supposed to be in the month of May, June, you should read your books twice. Believe me, target the pages. If an NCERT book has, let's say 120 or 129 pages, and we are left with 140 days, at least for that book, 1 page a day should be our target. Not reading, rather studying, and studying the way I have just told you. Have a A4 size paper, make notes of every statement read if it has a specific information, because that information is going to be a question for you. No test series, no book can do the same for you, because many a times an expert will feel that this may not be a question, whereas the expert who is setting the paper, for him it can be an information. So you are the best person to know what all I know and what I don't know. If there is an information in the book that manufacturing includes application of power, and you know it that application of power is required in manufacturing, you may not note it, because you are making the notes for yourself, not for selling it. So you should not note it. What I mean to say, when you are making notes for yourself, unnecessary things by default get refuted from that notes. And that's how notes of every student has to be different. And that's how one should read NCERT books. Again, coming to next point, compile the best points together to make decent study material, full of diagrams and equations needed to revise that into exam. What I mean to say, if I'm flat writing application of power or all those, and if I make a diagram out of it, I can make 4 arrows and make 4 points out of that. I represent it through a diagram. Of course, that diagram will help me to understand all 4 factors. First, quantitative values always get recalled. 4 factors were there when I was making the notes. In exam, which was not there is easy to find out. So, any NCERT book, many of the times it's been asked ki how 12th board and NCERT or CUET should be balanced together. That will be my next video. For now, thank you so much. See you again.